hear me properly.
Great. Welcome to another episode of our Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. In this episode, I talk to Aryan, the founder of Syntax Error. Aryan's diverse experiences and relentless drive led to the creation of Syntax Error. Syntax Error specializes in AI and app development dedicated to empowering startups by transforming their visionary ideas into reality in less than 45 days. Aryan and his team are on a mission to help startups navigate the complexities of tech landscape with innovative, robust, and scalable technology products. So I hope you enjoyed. Aryan, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thanks for welcoming me, Ash. It was really a good introduction. Well, looking forward to have a good chat with you.
Great stuff. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you that you would like to share with our listeners?
There's no quote as such. There's one formula, that I work upon is the concept of leverage. That comes from the book of Naval Ravikant, where he talks about how there are four different types of leverage in the society. There's social, there's code, there's human, sorry, there's labor, and there were a few more. I just forgot about it. But yeah, I wanted to, have some sort of leverage. It says that if you have any three, if you have mastered any three, you can become great in your field, or you can come to the top 10 or top 1% if you work towards that. So I have followed that quote from the day I begin everything, the day that I've started building stuff that gives a lot of value into, that puts a lot of value into the society. Every single project will find me applying the same quote again and again, the concept of leverage. That's what I follow.
No, I couldn't agree more. I remember the days when I was a kid, and I used to fight with my neighbors and come back to my grandmom, and I used to complain to her like, Jack is always. Uh, he used to live other side of the river, and then he used to ask me to bring all the stuff all the way to the south of the river instead of
Uh-huh.
coming to the north and playing with us because he
Mhm.
had the garden the other side. And then I always used to complain to my grandma's like, why? And she used to say, one day you will move to the south and then you will realize it. So I got
Mhm.
your point. The leverage is one thing which you have
Mhm.
to,
Mhm.
appreciate. Aryan, I am eager to learn more about you as a person, but before we went towards that direction, let's
Mhm.
talk about where the story began. Where did the idea of syntax error come from?
So back when I started, right, I started as a video editor. It's been 5 years that I've been editing videos for a lot of Web3 startups. I've been in touch with Bungie, in touch with Socket, and these platforms, these promotional, I've edited their promotional videos. It was during the COVID time that I was doing all this thing. And I was in my ninth grade when I started editing. I made short movies. I like video editing actually gave me a lot of edge when it comes to exploring or networking. But one thing that I realized in video editing is that again, introducing the concept of leverage, that this thing can be copied. Like you can easily, anyone can be a great editor as you. Okay, you might have a great storytelling, but it can be replicated. Any sort of edit that you have created can be turned into a template and people can use it. It's very simple. So I was like, I want to create something which can't be replicated. I want to build something which is hard to replicate.
Yeah.
Again, comes from the same book, Raval Navikant, the Almanac of Raval Navikant. Now, once that thought stuck me, I started to move towards something which is going to be there for the next couple of decades. Okay, and the first thing that I came across was programming, coding. So I started my journey as a Python developer. I built a lot of. I was in my 12th grade when I started developing a lot of games, developing a lot of programs, developing a lot of small small projects wherein I could replicate Twitter, replicate Facebook, all sort of things. And that's where I met one of my co-founders, and he lives in Sri Lanka. He's one of the best guys when it comes to tech that I've met. and we thought like, hey, we are doing good in this field, maybe we can convert this into a a monetary source for us. Started in 2020, we started doing projects, took up freelancing projects. Our first project was worth somewhere around, if you count that into dollars, will be around $100. And it was building an app and we built it in like 4 weeks or so. And that's where the journey started. And it went on and on, from a team of two to a team of four in the next 1 year, from a team of four to a team of 12 in the next 3 years. So yeah, we got registered last year, and I have been into development for the last couple of like last 4 years now, and have been supporting startups for the last 2 years now.
That's really good. So, what exactly Syntax does for startups then? For example, let's say if I'm a startup founder,
Hmm.
how does my journey looks when I get in touch, or what's your funnel looks like? How
Hmm.
do you aware people? Then how do they reach out to you? And then what is the process? Would you take us through the whole process?
Yeah, so I would suggest, like, I would say that we are not a not a agency sort of thing wherein I run ads or I run um, we make fun. As I'm not at that stage as of now. What I do is I find people who are looking for great ideas, or maybe who have great ideas. We go ahead and we pitch them that, hey, your idea sounds good. If you want any further development or maybe an MVP on your idea, we can help you out. My most of the connections comes from LinkedIn. That's where I'm mostly active, and like that community has provided me a lot of people whom I can connect and I can talk with. Recently there was Kate who got connected with me. He went through the whole analysis of a company, and he was surprised to see that how good level shit we are crafting. And that's like, I mean, the whole, if you talk about, am I running some ad campaigns, am I running some Facebook campaigns? I'm not. I am truly just connecting with people with the intention of helping them out in any sort of manner. And if they want to take their idea further, if they have confidence in their idea, what I do is that, hey, we can help you, and if you want, you can invest something, and we can get started. So currently, if you see the 12 clients that we are working with, right, these 12 clients, most of them are coming from referrals, because from day one I believed that me providing more value is something which is very important for me. From the day one, right, even when I was working on $100 project, I gave it a value of around maybe 5,000, $10,000, due to which people come and see that project, and they see that maybe you have crafted this in $8,000. What's the costing of the project looks like? So
Mm.
from the day one, I've kept on pushing more value compared to what I get in return, and I think that's basically my funnel. In the future, I might be looking forward to doing that, but I just don't want to be like any other agencies who are doing marketing and all sort of thing. I mostly believe in partnership, and every single company that we have been in touch, we are still in touch. And because I act more as a partner rather than being just an agency with working with them.
How does this partnership work in terms of revenue then? For example, let's say if you're
Hmm.
working on a product,
Hmm.
do you like I just want to understand your revenue model, because when you say
Hmm.
partnership, does it
Hmm.
comes from the end users who use your
Hmm.
product for your customer, or does your customer pays you upfront for developing or creating the product, and then
Yeah.
you take a percentage of the final sale? How does it work?
So we have a very flexible sort of revenue system. And why is it so flexible? Because come on, we are dealing with startups here, and startups change. Like every startup will have their own problem. Few might be having a a funding issue. They might not have that much capital. Few might have a very huge idea that they want to get developed, but they don't they don't have the timeline, things like that. So for every single company out there, or every single startup who joins us, we analyze them and we understand what's their problem, and depending on the problem, we provide them a feasible solution that works for us for a revenue. For example, few initially when we started, right, we started with targeting good amount, like good founders who are good at creating stuff. How do I know if that founder is good? I just have a call, I understand how good the founder is, and if we like the idea, right, we propose him that, hey, look, your platform building might cost you around $8,000. Okay, it will take you 3 months, but I understand that you don't have $8,000. What we can do is I can get the whole thing working in the next 45 days under $2,000, and then if we push it in the public and we get a lot of response on this, then we can push it further. I
mm,
and because this fits in his budget, and he thinks like, okay, if we are pushing an MVP first, he'll get to know if his idea is working or not. Second, he also, everything is getting done in the next 45 days. Third, it also builds a lot of trust. That's where my partnership things comes in. Now, what happens exactly after the 45th day is that we from our socials push out their content heavily, like very heavily. So there's one of the project that we are working on, which is still under development. It's called Boutique. Okay, it's
mm,
a Bangalore based startup out of India. And the thing is that this guy was looking out for many folks who can join in on the wait list. But the problem was he was not able to, so we started posting his content through our socials. And
mm,
that's how he got like 15-20 sellers on his platform before even launching the platform. Now he knows that his idea, he has got some confidence on his idea, and he might be pushing it in the upcoming. So I'm always looking for a long term vision, because most of the agencies, right, they're looking for making the next quick bug from the next client. They're
mm.
not looking what's happening with their current client. So that's a huge gap in the market. I would say you will find like many agencies, many tech agencies especially, running in this space, right? But the problem is 99% of them are thinking from, how can I get my revenue from the next client, how can I
Mm,
get the next project, how can I get the next $1 million guy in my team who can bring me projects. But 1% of them who are sitting at the top, they are most concerned about are their clients, current clients, happy
mm.
with how they are working. You see, people, like many agencies, when you start, talking with them, they'll say a lot of good things, that hey, we'll be building that, we'll be building this. But once the process actually gets started, you will see a lot of friction. And that's true for maybe 99% of it. And that's where my clients come from. They have faced these problems, and they know how hectic it is to talk with developers or get them working on board. But in our case, it doesn't happen. The client whom I met like 3 years ago, he still has a conversation with me. Even if his idea is not working, he's like, okay, Aryan, you helped me a lot. Because we don't just help them. When I talk about partnership, I meant I don't help you with just the tech. I help you with connecting with people who might be interested in your idea. We have partnered with a lot of VCs who might be interested in understanding your idea and building upon on top of it. So yeah, I believe in long term goals than setting short term goals. So that's why
Couple,
it took like
yeah, couple of
yeah.
things which I've
Hmm,
gathered from
hmm,
what you have explained me is you
hmm,
don't invest um, into you don't invest into the product. You invest into the person
hmm,
you're working with.
hmm,
And even though you don't have a hard coded contract, but you're actually investing into the equity, because
hmm,
it's the relationship equity you're building with them,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
Because once somebody who is starting up a new startup, once you have a relationship with that person, if they grow, the first person comes into the mind is
hmm,
the person who were there while they
hmm.
were growing,
Growing,
right?
correct.
I always remember this quote from somebody from Twitter. He said, "People don't get jealous of what you people are jealous of what you have. They're not
Hmm.
jealous of how you got it."
Correct, correct. Hmm,
Right? They're always
hmm,
jealous of what you have right now. They don't understand how you got it. So that was a good one you explained. I
hmm,
might not be the right ideal customer persona for your service, but I do reflect on the fact that I have burned my hands quite a lot, and one of
hmm,
the rules I've made my in my life is never hire offshore programmers now. So I don't never hire offshore programmers. The only programmers I hire is either based in Europe or in the States. And the reason I did that is because I can go practically face to face and talk to them and
hmm,
understand their personality.
hmm,
Initially, I used to hire quite a lot of people from Bangalore. Um,
hmm,
what I've learned is it's difficult to get an honest feedback. So, for example, if I'm
mm,
talking about a requirement, I always get a affirmative or positive answer about if things will be done in this way by this time. So, there was always a positive, tangible response from the other side of the wall saying, okay, yes, Ash, we will do it this way, how you explain it. When I get the delivery, it's not exactly what I was expecting. I
mm,
realize that I it might be my fault, because one thing I've learned from my entrepreneurial background, is from my fathers and grandfathers, is first thing you need to do is you need to blame yourself when something is wrong happening. Figure out why it
mm,
happened and then start, fixing it inside you. So I
mm,
created this wireframing techniques to showcase them in a, visual format, what I want.
mhm,
And then I
mhm,
started creating these Figma thing. Yeah, I don't actually understand Figma, so I used to draw on my iPad and I show it to them what exactly I
mhm,
want. When I click on this, what should I say,
mm,
etc. Still I used to get the same response. How do you
mm.
tackle that kind of challenge? Because I have burned my hands so many times that, you know, I'm out of the outsourcing
Yeah.
ICP criteria now. But I
Mm.
guess you guys are doing it great. And how do you manage that aspect of business?
Yeah, so mostly if you're talking about like how we get things right, I mean, how we understand what the front guy actually wants is through a lot of iterations, to be honest. I always, there's this first rule, and whenever I land a client or whenever I get on a call with a client, is that the first principle that I follow is I'll only commit to what I deliver. Even if you're providing me $1 million for building something that I don't know, I might go back, do my research, and come back to you and say that, hey, it's not possible for me. I won't be proceeding with that. I can only commit. Like that's the first principle. No matter, there are two aspects, right? First, you trust your team. Okay, that hey, my team is there and they can craft legit anything. Okay, I myself have been into development and I can understand, uh, how complex an idea sounds or how complex an idea can be while creating. But the thing is that the first aspect is the team and the second aspect is what the client is expecting out of us. So it on the first call itself, first thing that I clarify is that hey, if this is something which I don't feel like I will be able to build, I won't go ahead. Second is that if the idea is complex but I know that hey, it's possible, but it might not be possible in the next 45 days, I always make sure that that is very clear.
Mm,
Having the transparency, right? Like, to be very honest, I was facing this problem in the first phase of a company, wherein we would say something. We would say like, hey, 45 days, and the product won't be there in the next 45 days. We would say like, hey, like on the maybe on the 30th day, we would say that hey, there's a problem you're facing on our end. Maybe we have to shift the deadline a bit. So what happens in that scenario is like the client loses a lot of trust on us. Okay, from that point onwards, I made a rule that I have to be 100% transparent with the client, no matter what I'm facing. Even if it's a pro, if it, even like what happens in that case is right. The client manages things accordingly. Okay, let's say there was a very recent project that we were working on, and he was wanting an MVP so that he can show it to the investor and he can get funding. Okay, but the problem is that his idea was damn complex. I told him that hey, even if you are telling me to build this in the next 15 days, I might build it. But the problem is if any sort of things arise in between, which turns out to be a blockage, we have to anyhow shift the deadline. So it's better that rather than having a very short 15 days, you can keep the meeting in let's say 20th day or 25th day, wherein we have a lot of time, and then we can build it perfectly as per your idea. So what happens in this case is before even getting started with the project, the client understand okay, they won't be putting on fake promises, right? And second, they all like the second thing that client cares about is okay, they care about the product. That hey, okay, they care about what I am going through, and hence they are telling me that let's push the investor meet. Now this is what I learned from a lot of project that I crafted in my earlier days. But It's always a iterative process. You learn from one project, you apply to another. You learn from second, you apply to third. And I think there's a lot more to be learned in this space. But the first thing or the first rule that you can follow is always being transparent with your client. The more transparent you are, the more comfortable the client will feel. And to be very honest, even if your client is like a rude client or something like that, even if you stay, transparent, it won't happen. Like, you won't face any clashes in the coming future. It's very it's something that I've learned from experience.
Got it, got it. So you're saying what I've learned from your explanation is you you keep the you keep your stakeholders in loop and in
Hmm.
sync, and you're 100% transparent with them since from the
Hmm.
starting, so that they understand uh, what they are getting. And you don't do fake promises in terms of, if you don't understand something, you don't go ahead
Hmm.
and say yes, I will deliver it. That's good. So just a couple of syntax questions then,
Hmm.
quick ones. So have you is it purely bootstrap? Have you got any investment?
Not yet. It's purely bootstrapped. Every single client that we have,
What's
got on
your
the table.
what's your tech stack?
My our tech stack is actually, different per project. Why it happens is again the startup thing, but the thing is that we are very comfortable in okay, I'll start with the very first thing, is that tech stack. We are mastered in Flutter, so any application building is something that we always go through. Any sort of API that, the AI API like ChatGPT wrappers, or Gemini's API, all these sort of APIs, right? We can easily understand and we can easily integrate. We
Mhm.
have been pushing AI applications every single week. Okay, so interacting with OpenAI APIs or Gemini's or Lambda or something like that, which is on Hugging Face, works for us. It's very, it's like that's our domain. Okay, coming down a bit, we are mastered in Stack as well. We are using the whole Next.js framework. You can say Turbo Repo basically. Turbo Repo is wherein you use Next.js, you use Vercel, you use these components to host your website, and make it like, when we build an MVP, we make sure that the MVP is not costing them. The only cost you have to pay is the domain cost. Rest of the things you won't have to pay. So that's another thing that we keep in mind. So we use Render, we use Vercel, we use Next, and all these programming languages, uh, just to cut off cost. I won't say there's any dedicated stack that we use, but the only dedicated thing when it comes to app development is Flutter. That is on point. Like, every single time we are heading towards app building, we use Flutter on the end. Sorry, Flutter on the front end, we use Node at the back end. It's the most compatible, compatible stack, you can say.
Right. Okay. And
Hmm.
how is your okay? Let me ask this
Hmm.
question in a different way.
Hmm.
What's your daily schedule looks like? Tell me everything since when you get up from the bed and when you go
uh,
back to the bed. I
okay.
don't want to um, lose any information here. I want to understand your daily routine so
Hmm.
that I understand how many projects you can manage with your team.
Mhm. Okay. So like everyone, right? I'll start my day from the morning 12 o'clock. Okay. Like, I'll just go in the opposite direction. You're saying how you start to end. I'll start from the end. Okay. In the early morning, like around 12 o'clock, I'm still working. So my there are two sections of my day. The first section goes into team management, and the second section goes into product building. From mostly 12 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, I start building on the product area, wherein I come to my VS code and I start building things, wherein I can come, like, me and my co-founder always set around that period of time, and for like next couple of hours we always do some sort of research so that I stay updated when it comes to tech part. And to be honest, tech area is something which is updating at such a scale that if you miss out, like, let's say 3 or 4 weeks, you are like 10 to 5 years behind. So yeah, that's what I do in the morning. Like, and I sleep around like 5 or 4 o'clock. So I don't sleep the overnight. I sleep around 5 or 4 o'clock, and then wake up again in the morning 12 o'clock. So it's around like 7 hours of sleep. Now, what happens after 12 o'clock is all my daily stand up needs. So after 12, when I wake up to around 2 o'clock, I just take my notes. I just analyze my day, that okay, they have this meet, there are a few clients that are getting on board. I have to make sure that that process goes perfectly. So I've been like go through all the text messages that I've received, because most of my clients are from US. So they message me in the night. So I collect them, and then I like put it on paper or put it on a schedule, depending on the 2 hours that I have. And then from 2 o'clock, most of my stand-up meets begins. So 2 to 2:15, 2:30 to 3, and then that's how the whole evening or maybe afternoon goes, till 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock I'm packed, totally packed. Like it will be either sales meet, it will be either stand-up meet or discovery calls. After 6, what happens is I go back with my team talks. So here I'm talking with clients in the first half of my day. Second half of my day, I'm talking with my team, getting to know all sort of progress that we have made on the project, so that the next day I can come to them and say that, hey, this is what I've talked with the devs, we'll be getting updates today again. So something like that. So making all those things in a loop, basically. So I have a talk with my team from 6 to maybe 9 or 10, and I have my dinner and all in the same duration. And from again 11 or 12 o'clock, I start building one product. So I have been doing this for like for 2 years now. And there are days where I have to go out to my college, attend stuff, and so that kind of messes my schedule a bit. But yeah, that's fine.
So you still studying then?
Yeah, I'm still studying.
What are you studying?
I'm studying it's basically BTech in India, studying computer science. uh, and yeah, that's what I'm applying as well.
Great stuff. And
Mm.
take me through your team's capabilities.
Okay. To be very honest, the first decision that I took, right, of building a team has been the solid decision of my, the whole syntax journey. It is not the clients that I work with. It's not the projects that I'm working on. It's basically the team I'm working with. So my team consists of like 4 core members. That's me, Specs, and Rohit and Vedant, and we four are like totally, into each other basically, because we know how everyone works, and we understand like, hey, this guy will be available when, even if you're not talking him with the whole day or talking with anyone in the whole day, we know what will what they are doing at what time period. So that's the relation that we have. It's more of a friend sort of relation and then a team. But when we come into this area, right, we sit on a meet, we act as professionals. My team's capability can be, like, I have seen my team at an area where we were pushing on 8 different projects in like 2 weeks, and that was the peak, of my team. And I mean, I think we could nail that as well. But for like for the time being, I think my team can easily manage 8 different projects at the same time. And if you look about the capabilities, I myself am a full stack dev on web as well as app. So if there's any sort of area wherein we feel like, hey, we need another dev to join in, I'm the last guy. Like if there's no one, I will be joining in. I'll be getting the things done. Vedant, on the other hand, is a hardcore AI as well as a backend developer. So any project, like he comes in when there's a blockage. We are not working in every 24/7 on all different projects. We come only when the team is facing a blockage. So that's the part of the core. Rohit, on the other hand, is another full stack guy, and Specs, on the other hand, is a full backend guy. So he has been crafting heavy, complex applications. So before we get started with any sort of project, right, Specs takes care of the whole architecture. He understands how the whole thing will be, building. I, on the other hand, take care of the whole logic, or the whole, models and all those things. Then we pass it on to Vedant to get it approved and then start building it. So he will structurize everything and he'll have the file ready for the devs to jump in and start building things. And Rohit, on the other hand, will check on the whole, he's basically a QA, and he's testing out the whole application, getting things on the table that, hey, this is not working. This is what the client is doing. So please get things done. Something like that. So it's a
So
very, very,
you have a
what do you call
diverse team, basically.
it? So
Yeah.
I'm just talking about 4 people. There are like 12 in my team, and these people have been trained by us. So there's
Mm.
no one that I get in the team or I hire from somewhere. I get an intern, I get a pool of intern, and then I train them. that understanding how they interact. So out of six, maybe one will be working as per my expectations, and then we take him inside the team.
Right, and then they get into your payroll.
Yeah, yeah. So they
Okay,
understand, right?
very
How
very
it's,
important
yeah,
question. Who
yeah.
among you four likes
Hmm.
football, and specifically who supports Chelsea?
To be very honest, inside our team, right, we are cricketer fans. In India,
Right.
there's not a
Who
lot of
is the
so
captain right
yeah.
now? Is Virat Kohli?
I think they both have retired, so it will be
Right.
Shubman Gill.
Okay. My
Yeah.
brother loves cricket. He used to play for the local county for a
Mhm.
while, and then he had a baby, and then after that we stopped watching cricket. Well, he
Yeah,
still
but yeah,
goes to the to
my
the.
team is Chelsea, to be honest. When I
Oh
was
yeah.
into football, right, I when I was in maybe 10th or 11th, I was
Hmm.
watching football and I was playing football. On this FIFA football. So every single time I used to select Chelsea and I used to play. There was a player in my team called Fernando Torres. I seriously don't watch football a lot, but I remember that player as a striker whom I
Yeah.
used to love. Because I was playing with that guy. So yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Mm,
So you said that you have some capability with AI,
yeah.
specifically when it comes to the API integration into the
Mm,
systems.
mm,
And you also have quite a good capabilities available in-house with respect to this Next.js stack. And then,
mm.
do you have anybody who can work on Python? You
Yeah.
said you have a backend
Yeah.
developer, right?
Yeah. So all the AI projects, right, that we take on board, these are mostly interacted with Python because Python supports AI or model building very well. So if it's not a wrapper, right, a GPT wrapper or a OpenAI wrapper or a Gemini wrapper, then we always have to build models from scratch. And building models from scratch will only happen through Python. Vedant is the guy. I am, and there's another girl called Vasudha. So we three are very good at building things on Python. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if you're talking about languages, right? So I personally know almost every single language. Okay.
Hmm.
The only thing is that I don't use it because it's not required in my framework.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mm,
Um, Good. So I want to know, or can you share a compelling case study that highlights how your company, Syntexer
mm,
specifically,
mm,
uh, leveraged a solution to achieve success and solve your customers' key business challenges? And I
mm,
would love to hear about the specific problem they have
mm,
faced and the steps taken to implement your solution and the
mm,
measurable outcomes they experience as a result.
So I mean, there are many minute areas I would say wherein our ideation comes in play. Uh, so I as a ideator, or maybe I am the guy who is helping out clients every single day if they're facing any problem with their idea. So what happened is there's a application called Quest.uk. Very soon it will be out in UK. It's for students basically. Okay, as a student, you can open up the app and you can get events that are happening around you. Okay, and you can book a ticket, and that's all. Like you can just use the app for booking tickets as a student. Like you want to go out for party, if there's an event outside, you can maybe have a booking done over there. Simple. It's very simple. But the problem is that like I would say it's problem with majority of the clients that they have this idea, but they don't think about all the edge cases. Now, uh, there was this problem wherein we were or like I had a talk about with them that hey, organizers will be coming on a platform and listing themselves, right? So there are like let's talk about McDonald's. Okay, if McDonald's comes to our platform and they register ourselves, how will we know how many places are they available in? Okay,
Hmm.
will they have to manually go and enter every single place, or is there any system that we can develop to have some sort of thing built so that if a franchisee comes in board, we already know how can we fetch it. So what we did at the back end is if any sort of franchisee is coming on board, then we follow a very basic principle. Now this application is limited to only UK. Okay, so we scrap down every single thing. So let's say if the franchisee name is Taco Bell, then we scrap down every single Taco Bell available, and then we give them an option here: how many Taco Bells do you want to select to be listed on the platform? So this
Hmm.
is one. part of the game. But let's say it's not a franchisee, it's a very small cafe who have three different areas. First problem is, how will you know if they own that place? Okay. And second, how legit are they? Because what's happening on the platform is, you as an organizer can come on board, you can start your own event, and people will buy tickets. All you have to do is pay a subscription fee to us to join on the platform. And second, you can just start pushing out events, and people can buy you tickets, and you can always withdraw it. Okay. From the ticket sales you are earning, and you are just paying us a very small fee to be a part of the platform. Now for us it was like, if anyone can join in, right? If you are like, how are we checking if like if the guy who is coming on the platform is legit, or he is the owner? So in that, like, the client scenario in this context is, right, he's also a student working, I think taking a architecture course, some sort of thing, and now into MBA, like, I think that's his course. So what we did in this case, right, we started, once you try to log in, right, we just added a simple solution suggesting that if you have a company's email, please enter it, and if you
Mm.
don't, then you have to go through a manual process, an interview process with us. So what happened is, if you don't have a official, let's say your name is, let's say our company's name is Syntax Courier, right? If you're running a company or a paid company, if your company is registered, you're for sure you're going to have your own email, right? A company's email. Now we started with that. We added the email, we got on point, and that is something, which is still in date working. And the thing is that client wasn't able to think in this way. I mean, it's a
Mm.
very simple thing, but the way we did it is, no one was understanding that. And second, the problem we faced is, how are you going to check if that guy is legitly there? Okay, so we started doing Google search. So once you can only enter a place that is available on Google. Now, if your company is registered, right, you will always have it on Google. If you take a place, let's say we have a workplace, you can search you can go on Google, search Syntax, will find it. Now, if the company is registered and they own a place, they will for sure have it right on Google Maps. So we just integrated with Google Maps. You can't just go randomly push anything. You will have to turn on, Google Maps and integrate that.
Got it. So basically, what you did is I mean, in simple words, you thinking
Mhm.
out of the box. Simple as that. The customer
Yeah.
is giving you the context behind the challenges they are facing. They're giving
Mhm.
you the idea of what they want to achieve, and then
Mhm.
you, with your team,
Mhm.
brainstorm on a table with white paper or whiteboards,
Mhm.
and then figure out a solution which is not just affordable but
Mhm.
also satisfies or
Fulfills. Yeah.
solutionize
Solves.
the challenge. And
Mhm.
then it depends upon the customer if they want to scale it or not, because
Yeah.
most of the
Correct.
customers is startups, so they want to first get it working and then scaling
Mhm.
comes at the
Mhm.
next level.
Yeah.
So I get the idea. Great, this
Hmm.
is
And
good.
also, like, just to add on this, right? Many of the startups that join us, like, from the day one that we realized is that they don't have a lot of funds to invest on the deployment side. Having a Play Store account or having a Apple account, it will be like 25 plus $100. That is $125. Okay, and then you also have to pay a server fees that comes out to be, let's say, 60 or $70 as per your requirements. So we made a whole pipeline wherein these things can be very affordable, or maybe can cost you almost zero. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, we use turbo repo. So why we use that is basically to minimize the MVP cost almost to zero. So if you see, currently there's an application running called yokes.com. The client has to legit pay zero. Okay. And why? And he's happy about it because you don't have to pay any amount.
Got it. Okay, great.
Hmm.
I really like this conversation, Aryan. I have tons of questions right now in my mind, but the problem
Hmm.
is we have a very limited time.
Yeah.
Maybe we have to do another recording at some other time. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed talking with you.
Hmm.
Before we go towards the end of the whole recording and jump into our quick fire round,
Hmm.
um, I would like to ask you a personal question.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer it, but
Hmm.
if you feel, then you can. So,
Hmm.
throughout your journey and
Hmm.
experience, I know you're very young,
Hmm.
but the good thing is, the early you start in your entrepreneurial journey, the
Hmm.
early you learn about the real world, right? There must
Yeah.
have been some valuable lessons. If you don't
Hmm.
mind sharing, could you reflect on your experiences and tell us
Hmm.
about one mistake or a setback that you encountered along the way that you now
Hmm.
consider a regret? Or additionally, what advice would you give our listeners based on this experience?
I mean, if you talk about mistakes I've made, I make it every single day. And the other point that I follow is make mistakes makes you closer to your success. Like makes you go closer to your success, because success won't teach you anything, but mistakes will. Success will only boost your ego. So one, like, there are plenty of mistakes, but there's one that I would talk about the most is people always stick to their idea, or they always stick to your idea so bad that you forget about a lot of things that you could do while you're working with your idea, through your idea. So there was a time wherein I was so into building my agency, or in building my whole startup, that I actually forgot about how can I know you how can I refine my process, or how can I make my connections better, how can I make my relationships better. I invested like 5 to 6 months into continuously focusing on bringing more clients, but scaling this, scaling that. Forgot about my team, forgot about people whom I was talking to, forgot about my family and all those things. So in that area, right, what happened is, when I in the next 6 months, I didn't saw any results. I was at a position wherein I was like, hey, whom can I go and talk to? Because
Hmm.
I missed out on a lot of things, right? Like I missed out on going out with folks, with my people. I missed out on actually going out and playing with my brethren on a lot of things. So that's something that I would like have sort of regret upon. And uh, yeah, I would suggest not like when you're into this process of building something, right, something great, not forget people who who whom you are like who are backing you, basically. Do not forget. um yeah, I think that's yeah, that's something that I can say, like, do not forget where are you coming from, your roots basically.
Your roots, basically. Okay, great stuff.
Mm.
Okay, so let's jump into our quick fire round then. I have 6 questions for you.
Mm.
And then I'll just ask you, and then you just have to answer them as quickly as possible. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Great. Okay. First question.
Mhm.
Uh, what's one of the best piece of business advice you have received?
uh okay, the best piece of advice is, everything is like a bamboo. In the first 3 years you won't see anything coming out. It will be building your roots, it will be building your base, basically. But after 3 years, right, you will see things shooting up really, really good. And
Hmm.
that's something that I've that has brought me a lot of patience, that hey, Aryan, it's gonna take time. Being a 21 or 22-year founder, you always in a hurry to build something great. Okay, but after listening this from a 40 years old guy, he told me it will take time. So you don't have to in that rush. So it brought me a lot of patience.
Great. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
uh, I would recommend trying out of crazy stuff, trying out 100 different stuff, and checking if any one of it is working for you. For me, I've tried almost everything from video editing, graphic designing, photo editing. I'm not sure what, but yeah, like, try out stuff until you find that one right stuff, wherein you can sit and give your 24-hour to, and that
No, I
excites you.
mean, is there a book you could recommend to our
Oh,
audience?
okay. Okay. My favorite book is, of course, I have been talking about this the whole podcast. The Almanac of Raval Namikant. That's the craziest book that you guys can go out and read. Second is, you can go and follow, if you're into this business journey, right, this entrepreneur journey, there is one channel that I have been following from day one called Think School, Indian based startup, and these guys have been adding a lot of case studies into my diary, because they absolutely nail their content.
Got it. Got it. Think School. And what's the name of the book you mentioned?
Almanac of Raval Navikant. You can just search Raval Navikant and you will get it. He's
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Great.
it's a crazy book.
Yeah, I am into reading. I sometimes get on the trains with my Kindle, so I always put these things into my reading list. So thanks for that.
Crazy.
What
Mm.
one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Uh, I think perseverance.
Perseverance. Yeah,
Perseverance. Yeah.
couldn't agree more. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Google Calendar. I
Google.
think
Yeah,
that's the
simple.
only
And
thing.
yeah.
Mm.
What's a new crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had the time and money?
The crazy business idea, right? So there's one thing that I'm seeing, I'm observing a lot, is that these days, right, since because of content building, a lot of assets, okay, can be provided. Okay, there are platforms that are doing this, okay, but the problem is it's not so compelling. Maybe if we can build a platform wherein you can come, so you see this short clips, right, wherein people add some svg, like a gif sort of things. If we can build it through some sort of AI, it will get a heavy traction, because people are building things, building content at a very great pace these days. Like everyone wants to be a content creator. So you can provide this for video editors, wherein you can come on a platform, you can search for, i need a I need a animation for a guy who is shocked by seeing a car, okay, something like that, and you can just create a 3-second gif out of it and you can use it. Now here you will say that, Aryan, there's already text to video platform coming in, but the problem is they are focusing on videos. We'll be focusing on gifs, and that's how you can scale a lot better.
Like AI
Yes.
meme generators,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. Great stuff.
Something like that.
What's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
uh the most I'm a very what is it called, extrovert, and I share a lot. Then like my team always tells me I didn't not to share these things, but I go ahead and I share everything on my Twitter. So yeah, that's something that no one knows. I like there was a point wherein I was sharing our every month revenue to on my Twitter, and it was actually mentioned in the contract that we don't have to share it. But yeah,
Oh,
I am a very extrovert person, and I always have fun talking with people. That's something that
what
very,
let me ask you one question, which is
yeah.
additional to the sixth one. What's your most important passion outside your work?
uh at this point I wouldn't say anything, because my work is my passion. I think I'm
Mm.
following it. But the second thing that I feel, or I would suggest is my passion is, uh, uh like I've heard this, I've got it from some guy who has given me wisdom, is that you don't have a lot of time when it comes to spending time with the family, with your friends, or something like that. So whomsoever you're talking with, try to I mean, it will again come to, like, my passion is basically talking to people, and building great relations. And every single time that I feel like, hey, I'm blocking someone, I go ahead into that conversation. I say that, hey, I'm not gonna block you. I'm gonna build a bridge. I'm not gonna build a wall. So this is something that I've heard, and yeah. We were talking about passion. So yeah, so my second passion is public speaking. I would
Public
say, yeah,
speaking.
public
Got
speaking.
it. Got it. Aryan, thank you so much for joining me and
Yeah.
sharing your story, unpacking the last few years of building this business and some of your ups and downs along the way. If
Mhm.
people want to check out Syntax or want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Yeah. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm active everywhere. My Twitter account is, it's Epex, simple as that. ITSAPEX, and you can get me there, or you can search me on LinkedIn, founder of Syntax, and you'll have me there.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And usually what happens is I interview these SaaS product
Hmm.
founders, and they usually offer some kind of discount code to our
Hmm.
listeners. Um,
Hmm.
is there something you have to share with our listeners if they want to build their MVP and they reach out to you
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, I heard you on the Ash Founders
Hmm.
podcast." Is there something you would like to share?
So yeah, so I would suggest if you're coming from this podcast, right? I will for sure give you like 20-30% discount. That's
Great.
something that I can do from my end. And also other thing is that we can give you like 1 month of free digital marketing. Because we are into getting into digital marketing as well. So 1 month of free marketing plus 10 to 20% discount on your product that you're building.
So if you're listening to this podcast, make sure you reach out to Aryan Singh or search for Syntax Error Founder on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and mention
Hmm.
to him that you've heard him on Founders Podcast with Ash.
Hmm.
Great. Aryan,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing through Syntax Error. It's been an
Hmm.
absolute pleasure having you on Founders
Thank
Podcast.
you. Thank you, Ash. It was crazy talking with you. I'm looking forward to, have a great conversation, another great piece of conversation next, maybe in 8 or 9 months, wherein I can share you the progress I made from this point to the next point. That will be crazy.
Perfect. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Arya insightful and inspiring. If you're a founder or an industry expert interested in sharing your story on our podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. Simply email me at ash@artcircles.com and let's connect for a potential interview opportunity. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to connect with Aryan Singh at uh, LinkedIn. Just search for Syntax Error Founder. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. We have a lineup
Yeah.
of incredible guests and valuable insights coming your way. Stay
Yeah.
inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.